Hey, hey, people.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, so we're doing our question and answer.
Yeah.
It's a lot of questions. I just want to warn people. There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions, but they're awesome. You
We're
guys,
going to talk really fast.
So let's just try to answer them quickly. Yeah.
but there are some on gear and a gear list that we're going to answer the question, but I'm going to do more. I'm going to do a gear video that shows you all the gear and go through each of it in detail. So we'll just briefly answer those questions. And then somebody asked about stretching exercises, and we will do a video on those too. We'll answer these questions, but we'll do a better video on those. So anyway, I'm just going to read questions and we're just going to start answering best that we can.
I was just eating.
All right, here we go. How many pairs of shoes did you go through on the Thru Hike?
4.
5.
5. Do you plan on doing another long hike? Have you thought about the PCT, CDT, or the Triple Crown?
Well, we have thought about it.
That's a question that's been asked a lot.
Yeah.
I would love to. I think about it. I would love to do another long hike. I would probably do the PCT next. But we haven't made a plan to do it because we have other things that we're looking at doing. So we're just not sure yet if we're going to do that or not.
But anyway, it's a thought. I wouldn't mind doing one.
Yeah.
Do it.
That would be my next.
Soon.
Of the two, I would do the PCT next.
Yeah.
We've done the Colorado Trail, which is part of the CDT. So I would probably do the PCT, and then if I went for the Triple Crown, I'd do the CDT. We know our time's running short, so we would have to do it quickly. We don't have that much time to be waiting around.
Don't.
So anyway. But we'll let you guys know. If we make a plan to do a long trail,
you'll know.
We'll let you know.
I think it'd be fun to like cherry pick like the best 200 miles here, the best 300 miles there, the best, and do it that way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something I like the idea of.
Okay. What was the hardest thing you experienced on the trail?
Heat and humidity. Hands down, definitely. It kicks your butt. It makes everything harder.
The rock climbing, up and down rocks.
I'd say the hardest thing? I would say my hardest part of the trail was the non-trail in New Hampshire. There's a large section of that's just a non-trail. That was the hardest part of the trail for me. Hurt my knees. Because you're going to do it. We could climb and do anything. But it hurt my body. All right, let's see here. What was the best part of being on the trail?
I think there's a lot of best parts. But
People we met.
I think, certainly the people. And then if you separate that out, being outside every day, all day, is
our kind of life.
It's a gift. I mean, it just, you get to have this rhythm and it flows along and whatever is, and you're just in it and you go with it, and that's a great feeling.
And it's a gift to be able to unplug from all of what you're used to in the world and walk in nature, in beauty for 6 months.
Yeah.
Living that life was a gift. And grateful that we were able to do that, have the time to do that. And I think, too, part of it for me, too, is setting goals and accomplishing them. We had short-term goals, medium-range goals, and long-term goals, and to accomplish those things is a great thing, too. To set a plan and then execute the plan was awesome. All right, so this one is, what stretches and exercises did you do before and during your hike that you found most beneficial for each of you? All right, so we're going to do a video on our stretches. But my body part that hurt the most was my lower calf and my Achilles. Because of the uphill climbs are so steep, and there's so many of them, that was my stiffest, sorest part. So I did this stretch that stretched the lower part of my calf and my Achilles. That was my favorite.
Yeah, and I think the foot and ankle exercises that Christy and I started doing back in September certainly helped us out on the trail. And then I do this one stretch where you bend over forward and you grab the back of your ankles with your hands, and that's one of my favorite stretches. And I do that stretch all the time just to, so that, that would be one of them.
And mine were all for my feet, so.
And we'll go through those. We'll do a video and do those. Okay, but we stretched.
Definitely stretch.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I couldn't.
Every night.
I was hobbled in the morning. I had to stretch before I could even move in the mornings. I mean, really. But we'd stretch at night too, which helped. But all right, so this one is, what was the best summit and view along the Appalachian Trail?
Oh yeah. Well,
Mount Katahdin.
Katahdin was my fave.
The best view.
My favorite summit.
yeah.
I love the hike to Katahdin. Was awesome and fun.
That was
Hike to
fun.
Katahdin is the most fun of all
the whole
of the
thing.
days. I mean, it's just a fun hike. That's just a really fun hike.
And we were lucky to have the views.
And we had a
so
great
we had
day.
a good day, so that's my favorite.
But views all along the Appalachian Trail are spectacular.
We had a really mild day on Franconia Ridge, and it was really pretty.
The whites were really, the thing about the whites, the views are really pretty. Yeah, the Franconia Ridge was really nice.
Yeah.
We didn't have a view on Washington, but some of those peaks through there and in Maine, I think all of it has beautiful views all the way along.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the other views as you're, going through the other states and you look out across those valleys, that texture from it being glaciated, and it kind of has that really cool look. I mean, it's got, it's really, really a beautiful.
Yeah.
And we started in the winter, so we had a lot of views in those early states.
Yeah,
because
the trees aren't on, so you can see the ridge lines on the both sides of the trail. You can see out through the trees.
The leaves aren't on the trees.
It's pretty awesome. All right, so this is which state was your favorite, least favorite, and why? I don't know if I have a favorite or least favorite state.
And a lot of that is so dependent on what the weather was like when you were there.
I really loved the entire trail, except those parts in the whites that were painfully awful. But as far as every state, I loved Maine. I loved Virginia's. I loved the Triple Crown in Virginia. I thought Virginia had a lot to look forward to. But really,
I liked Massachusetts. I thought it was a nice state. I mean,
Connecticut, Vermont,
it
was awesome.
Except they were having a heat wave when we were in Vermont. It was super hot and super humid. So when I think of it, sometimes I'm like, "Whoo!"
Georgia had nice.
We loved Georgia. We loved the Great Smoky Mountains. We loved North Carolina. I mean, I really liked every state.
Yeah, we liked the Shenandoahs. We were having a great time. We loved it all.
I think the easiest hiking state is Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's short.
So it's short miles, like 40 miles, I think, and it's just not. It has a little ridge line, but it was probably the easiest.
Yeah.
I think of all the states. But we loved it. Loved them all. All right. Did you get lost or lose the trail very often?
Not often. Once I can think of in Vermont for just a little bit, and we got back on trail. So yeah, it's well marked.
Yeah, we really didn't. And when it's well marked, and then we were using the gut hooks. Len had the gut hooks, so I would look at the book a lot. Len would use the gut hooks app, which is an awesome app to have on the phone. And so you could kind of feel when you were off. You're like, a couple of times we're like, oh, I haven't seen a white blaze.
Yeah.
And the couple of times we got lost, and we looked at gut hooks, and oh yeah, we're off the trail. We missed the turn right back there, and so we were. All we have to do is turn around and go back a little ways. And
it wasn't like being lost. It was more like being
just a different trail.
It's just off a little bit or something.
A few minutes or something.
And that's just like heads are down and you're just in a meditative state and you miss the turn. I mean, really. But I think we ended up at a parking lot and said, "Hey, we're not supposed to be at a parking lot."
The parking lot.
That. Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah.
But yeah, it was very well marked. All right, so let's see. Knowing what you know now about the Appalachian Trail, what would you would you through hike it all again?
For the first time, yes.
Yeah, I would. I would.
I would, but I would be doing it with a little bit of dread because I would know what's coming. There's something about being ignorant and not knowing. So you're just plowing away and excited, and then you're like, oh my God. But then when you get to a hard part, you're going to do it. But man, if I was knowing what was coming, I would, I don't know. It would be harder, I think. All right. Was there a time you were ready to give up?
No.
Not really. I mean, you kind of set an intention, and unless something really had happened to us where we were just like, okay, can't go, can't keep walking. I think we all pretty much set the intention of making it to the end.
I never one time thought about giving up. Not one time.
Yeah.
worried in the whites when my knees were hurting from those things, like, oh my gosh, I hope my body can keep going. I hope I don't get injured where I can't walk, which I recovered every day.
You know, you're pretty far in when you get to the whites.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh God,
you want to do it.
At that, you're thinking, I have to be able to make it from here. So,
and there were a few days where I felt like, oh my gosh, where is the campsite? Like, oh my God, my legs hurt or my feet were just done, you know. But never felt like giving up. But felt like my body might give up. But all right, let's see. What pushed you to keep going?
Just I wanted to do it.
Yeah,
I really wanted to do it.
I think the biggest thing, when you talk about important gear or things to have with you, is your mind, body, and soul. I mean, if you're determined, you want to do it, if you really want to make it, you will find strategies to make it, and that includes taking your time, not getting injured, like really, I mean, sometimes you can't help it, but part of that's being careful and listening to your body and taking rest days and
and keeping your spirits up. You know, celebrate small things, celebrate small beauties. You know, the intricate piece of moss that's growing, the different kinds of leaves on all the trees, the thread that's covered with, you know, just, you know, if you can get a little happiness from a mushroom and you just be like, oh man, that's cool, I'm glad I met, you know, mentally you're psyching yourself up.
And we had fun, and I loved every piece of that adventure, as hard as it was. We had a great time and enjoyed it. And that makes a difference. If you enjoy it and you find the joy, like, it's kind of what you're saying, it lifts your spirits and it keeps you going. And
I think, you know, we had it easier because there was 3 of us and we could talk to each other and joke and laugh and be goofy and all of those things that help you get through. I mean, because when it's horrible and you're just like 100, you know, you're just like so hot and your body is just sweat and your clothes and you're sticky, and so is everyone with you. I mean, you're just like, oh. Yeah. So it's, you know, partly commiseration that you're just like, well, we're all doing this. So.
Yeah. And I think having good coping skills and, you know, self-talk.
Self-talk.
I mean, there's a lot of things. I think accepting what is, I think some of the most important aspects of making it is your self-talk, your mental state, your ability to handle whatever is going on.
Right.
Like, we would be hiking in the pouring rain, and we weren't saying, oh, I hate this rain.
No. Yeah,
we just walked in the rain.
Oh, yeah. It's more like, oh, we're walking in the rain.
And sometimes we'd go, God, look how beautiful it is when it's raining. I mean, it was really beautiful. There's fog, and, you know, and you're soaking wet, and we didn't say, oh, my God, I'm soaking wet. We just said, we're soaking wet. And so what? It's not going to kill us. As long as you have dry clothes to put on at night, and you put dry clothes on, especially when it's colder, and you sleep in those dry clothes, and you get up and you put those old wet clothes back on in the morning, and wet shoes, wet socks, you know within 5 minutes you're going to be wet anyway, whether it's rain or sweat or whatever. And you just don't think about it. You don't say, oh my God, this, you know, you just say it's what is. Yeah. It's just what is.
That's kind of the zen part of the trail, is that you don't wish for a downhill when you're on an uphill, and you don't wish for a flat. You just like be in that moment and be doing it, and stop fighting, like, and stop. You know, I know a lot of people talk about the PUDs, but if you know, just you're gonna do them anyway, so just like be in it and do it. You know.
Yeah, it's just accepting what is, be in the moment. All right, let's see. Did you ever feel unsafe?
No. Yeah, are we talking about like human people, that kind of thing, or a wild animal? No. I mean, I think sometimes if you have a fear of heights, or if you're not totally comfortable, you know, climbing up and down rocks and doing that kind of thing, I think there would have been some times where some people would have been like, "Ooh, this is kind of pushing my limits."
Or if it's raining and you're on a rock. But as far as unsafe, I felt the trail was really safe. There were a couple of stories that you heard of some, you know, like kind of weird people that you thought. And then, of course, the Stronghold, who was murdered. I mean, when all of that was going on, you felt like it wasn't near us, but you still felt like you're connected on this ribbon of trail, and there's something going on, and somebody's unsafe on that. So there's a couple of times.
When somebody loses their life,
it's unsafe.
Because obviously there's something going on there, but
as far as experiencing anybody that made us feel unsafe, we didn't. The only time was in one hostel, at the Four Pines Hostel. We felt that environment was a little bit crazy and unsafe. That was the only time I felt anything. But nobody made me feel, or there wasn't an animal or wild animals, or, I kind of stayed a lookout for rattlesnakes, but the rattlesnakes, I never saw one on a trail. We saw one on our ledge that we looked over, but I didn't see any rattlesnakes or anything like that, so I didn't feel unsafe. No. So did you carry anything for protection? I had a little mace, like pepper spray thing.
The only thing.
It's the only thing I had.
Yeah.
We only had one of them for the three of us, so.
I know, for the three.
I do have a big knife, sort of.
Yeah.
A big folding pocket knife, but I don't know what I was going to do with that.
Well, and then as far as feeling safe, like hitching rides and stuff, there's three of us.
Yeah.
And that's different. If I was by myself, I probably would have, I don't know, done things a little bit different on some of that stuff. But with three of us, we felt pretty safe.
Yeah. I think overall, especially when you're out, I think you do just feel safe. Like I never went to sleep at night thinking with fear or anything like that. And I never was afraid in a shelter.
No.
Or the tent or.
This is the thing. As far as animals, follow the rules. Don't have any food on you. Don't have any food in your pack. Just follow that. Hang your bags way out, away from where you're camping, and the animals won't get you. That couple of times in a shelter where I felt, this is kind of crazy, but some hikers don't want to hang their bags. So they have food in the shelter and you're in there. Nothing happened.
Right.
But
and that's the same thing with why there's mice. I mean, the reason there's mice is because so many people
talk about experiencing mice. Let me tell you, I did not have one mouse.
No, we didn't even
have.
But we never had food or one crumb of food in a shelter.
We spent a lot of nights in shelters too.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's see. How did your aging bodies handle sleeping on the ground and walking in wet weather? Great.
Thought we did fine.
Yeah. Good sleeping pad, whatever your personal choice is. I sleep great.
I sleep like a baby.
Great when I'm backpacking. Partly, I'm sure, is because you're exhausted, so you're going to sleep. And when you first start in the winter, you're in your sleeping bag a lot, so you learn how to kind of relax and get that extra rest and be in that. And then what's the other part? Walking in the rain
or just in the wet.
You just do it.
Yeah, we didn't have a hard time. The only thing is I'm really stiff when I get up in the mornings. And so getting out of the tent, because the tendons in my feet were really stiff in the morning. And I would get up, I'd have to kind of back out of the tent. Totally hobble there for a little bit and stretch. And then once I got going, I didn't have any problem. But there's a lot of people that have the hiker hobble, but I think I've noticed more with my age. It's hard. It's harder.
And I don't know. I think part of the sleeping on the ground thing is trying some different ways. If you have a hard time just standing yourself out of your tent, then try crawling out or rolling out.
Yeah, there's different ways.
Whatever, and
use your poles.
Just make it work. Yeah.
And I used to have a bad pad that my hips hurt when I would lay on my side, and I'd have to keep turning around. I've got this X-Therm Neo Air pad. When we do equipment, we'll talk about it. But Thermarest. Yeah. But it's comfortable for me, and I feel. And it's the way you blow it up. If you blow it up too hard, it's not that comfortable. So you learn what works for you. But that has really made a difference for me. So gear is really important with that. Yeah. Okay. Would any of you ever hike alone? Yes.
Yeah. I did a little bit. I had to do, about the extra 100 miles that I had to do. And I did most of it alone. And you know what? It was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't feel scared. It was fun.
Yeah. And it was fine. I'm more introverted than extroverted, really. So sometimes when we're hiking, I'm just in my meditative state and just doing my thing. I could totally hike by myself. It's more fun with people. I would much rather go with these guys any day.
Yep.
But if they didn't want to go and I wanted to, I would go. But I'll tell you what, you'd see people who met people on the trail, and you could probably find people that you could hike with if you wanted to hike with easily. But at the same time, I wouldn't want dynamics of a group either. Like that you're dealing with. You want to enjoy. So we just happen to get along really well, and we've known each other forever. So I would much rather hike with these guys than by myself. But
yeah, I would hike by myself. I have backpacked by myself.
Yeah,
but it's not as fun. No, I agree.
Okay, so it says, did you ever consider doing a flip-flop? And do you think doing a flip-flop would take away from the enjoyment of hitting the milestones and things like that?
Well, because we had never been on the Appalachian Trail, because we hadn't been to the East Coast states and done that, we really wanted to do kind of the traditional, climb your way up the states. And so we did it that way, and really enjoyed it that way.
I always wanted to go from one end to the other. But also, we wanted to start when we started, in the winter.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to wait till May or whatever to start. I didn't want to wait till June to start. February was a good starting time for us, so it made sense for us to start way up Georgia and go up. But I really wanted to go. I don't think it would take away. I think it's whatever you want to do. You're celebrating your milestones either way. I mean, people going Sobo or people, you're still keeping track in your book of your mileage and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
I think you could craft a flip-flop that worked for you.
Oh, yeah.
For you, totally.
Yeah.
But, All
right. Is there any trail food that you don't want to eat ever again?
Not from this trail. I can't think of anything.
This trail. I mean,
we did well. In the past,
we didn't order tuna sandwiches at restaurants along the way or anything. But
so in the past, we used to do those Mountain House meals. Got totally burned out on them. Sick of them.
Yeah.
Didn't do one of those on this trail. No freeze-dried meals because we got sick of those years ago. We were doing more cooking in the past, and we did not cook very much on this trip. Mostly because we just didn't want the food. We kind of got sick of it.
Yeah.
So, no, none. We'll talk. There's another question about what we ate, but I really didn't get too sick of food.
I didn't. No.
Do you think it is easier being 3 on the trail to boost morale?
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
What did you learn about your relationships with each other, and how did your relationships evolve throughout the phases of your Thru Hike? Well, we've known each other.
Yeah.
And we've hiked a lot together.
So there wasn't. We kind of knew what to expect, and it was we kind of just hold each other up. I mean,
we
encourage.
We kind of have a no whiner. Policy. I mean, it's not like stated exactly, but we all kind of follow that. Where you keep yourself going, and then that way, if somebody really is saying, oh, then you're like, uh-oh, I mean, this is for real. If somebody's saying, I really can't go on today, you're like, oh, okay, well, then we need to stop. Serious.
Yeah. But we don't have, we've done a lot of adventures together. So we really have a bond through adventuring. I mean, really, truly. Some hard stuff for many, many, many years.
Right. Yeah.
And just in our life now in full-time RVing. And we also we're pretty healthy in ourselves in that if we have a bad day, we're not projecting it out on other people. We're kind of self-accountable. We take responsibility for our own misery. We don't have...
That's not to say that one of us won't be in a bad mood.
Oh, yeah, because you do. You're like, you don't feel good or whatever. But we don't take it and put it on people. You just kind of handle it.
Yeah.
We, none of us are victims. None of us are in this competition where who's leading. I want to make this decision. No, I'm going to. We've always said we don't have a leader. We just all lead. We all just kind of talk, and we all do the things very similar. So if we're looking at the book, Len and I will be like, yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's what I had. Let's go to this. I mean, we kind of plan the same, and we want to take the days the same, and so it's just easy. You're
trying you're trying to work. You are consciously trying to work as a team too.
Yeah. And somebody on here said that they hike with friends, and sometimes they get crosswise with each other, and how do we handle that? We just really don't. I mean, there wasn't a negative. There's not negative stuff. We have our bad moments, our own responsibility of feeling bad, but we really don't. It's positive, in my opinion.
Sometimes these guys wouldn't give me their M&M peanuts when I wanted them to, but hey.
Yeah, too bad. Yeah. No.
We kind of hold our own boundaries. We don't. We don't expect anybody to take care of us. You take care of your own. Pesky tried to get us to carry our stuff. We said, no way.
No.
Do your own
thing.
thing.
It was her birthday.
Forget it. Okay, so let's see. Where am I at? Is there any part of the AT that you would return to and spend more time exploring?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was some, a little bit of Maine had some areas that looked like some interesting other little side canyon things.
What's the name of that canyon?
I know what you're talking about.
That's the first one I can think of. Anyway.
But not even so much on the AT, just around the AT that we saw some side trails.
In those states, I'd like to come back and do. I'd like to hike in the Catskills. I'd like to do some different things in those states.
Hikes. Yeah.
And then you can always. I think doing some different section hikes on the AT would be fun.
Yeah, and the whites would be cool with the blue blaze trails.
Yeah.
And doing some of those to the huts would be cool. I think.
Yeah, hike up to the.
Yeah. I think it'd be neat to do some stuff like that. Did any of you use Gators on the trail, and if so, what kind and how did they work? Annette and I used Gators.
Yeah, partly because we treated them with permethrin. I felt like that was another layer of protection against the ticks. So we had our shoes treated and our socks treated and our Gators treated, and I was like, it's...
they worked well.
And they do keep little sticks and
they keep
stuff out of your
They're
shoes.
Designed to keep the stuff out of your shoes when you wear the trail runners.
And it's super easy. I mean, it's like a no-brainer.
But mine were the dirty girl Gators, and I liked them. And we read like Annette was saying, we read that the ticks come up off the ground and to really treat your shoes and your socks and all that. So we just thought, well, that's another layer. So we kind of use that for the ticks too. But yours was a different brand, REI.
Mine were Ultra brand with the Ultra shoes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And they were kind of low-dollar Gators, but they lasted the whole time.
Mine too. Mine lasted the whole time, and they were great. I washed them. I'd put them in the laundry and wash them.
Did what they were supposed to do.
Okay. What part of the trail did you do solo?
What part? Oh, gosh.
Okay, so, we didn't do a lot. We did, so...
just tiny little...
In the whites, or
New Hampshire. Well, we did, when we were at 19E, Station 19E after Roan Mountain.
Well, yeah, when we hiked with the
We did a slack pack. I think it was our first slack pack. And that's because David at the 19E does slack packs. He takes you out about 14 miles, and then you walk back to Station 19E right there. So, and he had a dog, Jack, so we did that. And so he dropped us off, and we walked south back to his place there. And then we didn't until we got to the whites. And the whites are set up to do slack packing. They really expect people to do slack packing in there. So the very first Mount Moosilauke in the whites, we did south.
Backwards,
north to south. And people kind of talk about, do it north to south because it's really steep. So you're going up the really steep part, and then you get up and it's easy down instead of going down that really steep part. So,
I wish we had done Madison Spring one. I wish we had done that one.
Yeah,
but we didn't know
north to south.
No, because we went after Washington. We went down Madison, and you go to the hut and down. That was the worst day on the trail to us.
Yeah, for us that was.
And the downhills were worse. We could do uphill all day.
Yeah.
The downhills were the worst.
Walking on those rocks, that whole...
Now, the other southbound thing we did was in the Wildcats, in the Whites, and we created that because we were trying not to go downhill. Our knees were so bad at that point. That's the very last section of the Whites. That we tried to work it where we were going uphill, then we switched over here, we went uphill.
We hiked extra miles because we'd hike in on a blue trail.
12 extra miles we did to keep from going downhill.
To do the really hard ones as uphills rather than downhills. So we did the 18 miles plus the access miles in and out.
Yeah, so 2 of those sections I think we did southbound. And I don't know if that was the best decision because we did more miles and it was really kind of... We were trying to get to the gondola and we couldn't. But anyway, that's like a weird thing. But so we didn't do too much southbound. What did you eat on the trail?
Wow.
Well,
tuna, cheese, M&Ms.
A lot of nuts.
Oatmeal.
A lot of, dried fruit and nuts.
Dried fruit,
dried cereal with powdered milk in a Ziploc, and you pour the water in. We did a lot of that.
Yep.
Stuff that kind of tastes normal, that it was easy, light.
I got really hungry. I started out, this is what I've always done backpacking. I'll eat a breakfast, and I'll eat a dinner, And in the middle of the day, it'll just be snacks with some cheese sticks, dried fruit, nuts, all that. I changed at some point because I needed more energy. So I actually ate a lunch. And I started bringing the tortillas, tuna, and cheese. Yeah. And I did pepperoni a few times. But I would make a sandwich and eat that. And then I started throwing in bags of Cheetos. Yeah. There was something about a midday meal that I started needing. So I would eat my breakfast of cereal or whatever it would be. And then we'd have snack. We'd stop and have a snack. Every 2 hours we would stop and have a snack and drink. And then I got to lunch, and I wanted a meal, so I'd have this tortilla, tuna, cheese, Cheetos, some candy or something. Yeah. And then we started doing Propel or Gatorade because we needed it. And then we'd do a snack in the afternoon, and then we would get to have a dinner at night. And I ate lighter almost at night, and had that. Man, I just needed food in the middle of the day. Yeah. But we had soups and
we had.
Potatoes a couple of times, but
but we did a lot. I mean,
a little bit of ramen.
I feel fortunate that I can eat nuts and I don't seem to get sick of them, and cheese, and some of those items that are really easy.
I could still eat all that food.
We bring we'd have cashews and walnuts and pecans and all kinds of different nuts thrown together, and peanuts and various almonds, assorted things. Just to kind of mix that up, and different dried fruit. We did dried cherries. We did, whatever.
And a great thing we did was the carnation breakfast, instant breakfast. Yeah. And we would find some with protein, had more protein in it. We'd do a chocolate one. Yeah. And we would and you could do it hot or cold, but we'd have a chocolate.
You could add some Nido, some powdered milk to that.
Yeah.
Get more protein.
Started to help. That really helped me in the morning before we started,
Okay, so it says, would you start at the same time if you hiked it again?
Yes.
Yeah, we all liked it.
What was good.
Yeah. What I had thought I was going to really, really struggle with the bugs, like mosquitoes, just be eaten alive, and partly maybe because of the timing of it, of how we progressed through. The bug issue was so minimal. Yeah. I was so relieved. By the time we got to Maine, there were no black flies. We never had really any big mosquito infestations. No. Some brief moments where they were like attacking, but
not bad.
Not bad.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
we were ready.
And that was one. That was one of my biggest dread things. Was like, because I get bites and they swell way up and all of that. And I was just like, this is gonna be bad, and it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
So this question is: did you have any problems with ticks, and what did we do to prevent it?
No, because we permethrined all of our clothes, so we did not get any ticks, not one of us. So, but we were really good about every 6 weeks, like every 6 washes, we would stop somewhere and we would re-permethrin our clothes. So
and it's kind of a pain.
Faithful.
And we still did tick checks too.
Yeah.
Even though we had the permethrin stuff, we check for ticks every day, or as much as you could, whenever, pretty much every day. I think.
So we didn't have any problem, and thank God we didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I know.